But the good news continues for the entire real estate sector, whether it's commercial or residential. Of course, the rate pause is something that will provide a fillip, but then there was some positive news flow around the SEZ commercial properties as well, and we'll try and decode that with none other than Anuj Puri of ANAROCK as well as Gulam Zia of Knight Frank to decode all of that. Gentlemen, hi, good to be speaking with you. Let's begin with you, Anuj. Help us understand what is this latest announcement regarding the SEZ notification and what does it change? How will it help the companies? Break it down for us.
Yeah, absolutely. First of all, it's a big relief for the developers, particularly those who are on the offices. And, this is for the listed developers on the office, plus also for the REITs. If you were to look at it, the vacancy that they had in their portfolio was largely in the SEZ. And I'll explain why that vacancy was there is. And, that was causing grief to the commercial office developers and to the REITs. But other than the SEZ, if you were to look at their portfolio, they were like 96, 97% occupancy. And, the SEZ portfolio had fallen up to sort of 87, 88% vacancy and was taking a huge amount of effort to fill that. The reason for that was that there was the SEZ benefits had a sunset clause. And as a result of which that benefit had gone away. Now the vacant area, nobody was wanting to take it because there was no tax benefit to be provided for any export-oriented company to come in that area, and hence they wanted to be in the non-SEZ. But in a building, if it was classified as a SEZ, you could not have a non-SEZ and a SEZ in the same building. What this regulation has done is it has said by floor-wise, independently, you can have a non-SEZ and an SEZ. Otherwise, it used to be the full building. Either it is an SEZ or a non-SEZ. And if it was a SEZ and half the building was occupied by an export-oriented unit, which wanted the SEZ benefits, then the rest half, we were just not able to lease it because there was nobody else, given that the sunset had already happened on the tax benefit. Now, because it is flow-wise, you can get the companies who are not wanting to take advantage of the tax benefit to come in and will be classified as a non-SEZ. I mean, there's sort of one clause that they have said is, and rightfully so, to say is that you may have taken the benefits while constructing the building. And that benefit of the tax whilst constructing the building, you have to repay, as a result of which we will be able to demarcate that area. And because it is done floor-wise, to me, that is the most exciting part. And really, the government has applied themselves on this to say is rather than just building by building, the trouble that we were facing was half building, was SEZ benefit and the balance half you really couldn't do anything.
Right. No, it's a very practical solution, as you pointed out as well. But Gulam, come in on this. I think my colleague Vamakshi was telling me that there was something called a Desh bill also, which was in the works, which was expected to supplement this entire demand for SEZ. Do you think this kind of amendment would be enough? Or there's something more that the industry is asking for in terms of SEZ occupancies and vacancies coming down?
Well, this is to start with. This was the demand of the industry for quite some time, as Anuj explained. The non-occupancies of the SEZ space was hurting a lot, and also especially the REITs. REITs are, of course, the listed instruments, as once again Anuj explained. And I was looking at some data. Almost about 48% of the REIT offices are the SEZ. So it was a big blow to especially the three listed REITs that we have in the country. The Desh bill that you're talking about has been taking a lot of time. We have been hearing about it for almost about a year or so. So whenever it shapes up, we come up with a fresh new notification under the Desh bill, at least in the interim, where the majority of your landlords and developers and the REITs were suffering due to losses of revenue. This amendment that we're talking about is very, very practical, and it is going a long way to bring some more revenues for the owners and developers.
Okay, point taken. But let me just quickly come to you as well, Anuj, back and just ask you in terms of the occupancy levels, what's your own expectation how that will inch up for the SEZ units, as you pointed out, and what would happen to the realizations and rentals, if you can quickly help me with that?
Yeah, very quickly. On an average, the non-SEZ occupancy was about 96, 97%. It varies between REITs and the developers. Then the SEZ part was about 86, 87%. And that was really pulling the overall occupancy down to about 89, 90% level. With this SEZ now being allowed to demarcate portions of that as non-SEZ, my thought is that your overall occupancy for the combined portfolio will get into the mid-90s. Now, that what it really means is that the vacancy that was there, which was really not yielding any rent, and to my mind, it was a national wastage because you really couldn't lease it out. That is going to bump up the revenues or the dividends that are going to come in from either the REITs, as Gulam said, the 3 listed REITs, or from developers who have a very large commercial portfolio and are listed.
Point taken. And Gulam, quickly to wrap up the discussion, just a bird's eye view in terms of how the overall commercial leasing is panning out. What are the trends you're witnessing on the ground?
Well, we are expecting this year to be slightly better than last year. I recall during just before COVID, we're talking about almost 6 million square feet of fresh office space absorption in a year, and it crashed. Last year, we were about 52 to 53 odd million square feet. So we are actually inching closer to that or even surpass that. So overall office absorption, at least so far we are looking at, is looking very healthy in spite of all the disturbances globally, whether there are 2 of those wars and a lot of those other concerns. The India office space absorption continues to be strong.
Okay, thanks so much for that photo finish. Thanks so much for that. We're running out of time on this edition of the show. Thank you, gentlemen, for being with us, and thank you, viewers, for tuning in.